Hello, my name is Jessica Allen, and I teach freshman Algebra 1 and College and Career Readiness at McGoffin County High School. My project was entitled Algebra Boogie. I switched to LCD boogie boards by Blackboard this year. In the past, I had used previous styles of pencil and paper, of course. I had used dry erase boards. Kids are bored with pencil and paper, and they are also um, dealing with a lot of problems when it comes to our dry erase situation. Markers were dried out, and everybody left with their arms covered in marker if it did work, because they use those for erasers. The LCD board for the Blackboard Boogie board allows you to be able to write and erase quickly, whether it's writing the answer to a prompt, if it's following along with guided practice, if it's working along with their tests. We let them use it for pretty much everything. I decided to track them during especially the second 9 weeks, since we received them just before our second 9 weeks began, and they were a huge hit. The students loved working with them. As you can see here, if I would have them to sketch a graph, previously taken and drawn those little dots and making a graph would have taken them a long time. They can pick any section of the grid, and then they can start counting their points, and then with one click of a button, then they can erase whatever that they are not using, or if they've messed up, anything of that nature. It also has a pinpoint precision, where if you hold this button here, then it allows you to erase just small sections with your eraser instead of the whole thing. It has a lock section, so that way you don't accidentally erase what you're working on if you don't want to. A few things we did learn about them this year, though, is that sometimes the pinpoint precision doesn't work quite as well, so that is something that we have had to work with a little bit. Overall, though, we've made use of the different backings. The plain one allows us to be able to sketch freely, to brainstorm, sketch work, all that good stuff. The lined paper allowed them to practice their free writing before they do like an open response. Our favorite feature, though, was popping it out completely and allowing it to go over top of anything we were working on. All those workbooks, things like that we don't have to make a million copies of. It was fantastic because all they had to do was lay their boards on top of those, and they were able to write on them seamlessly. Afterwards, when they finish with their work, there is a Blackboard Boogie app, and whenever they finish with the app, then they would scan in their work. That would allow them to keep a copy. It would allow them to send me a copy. And for my students who didn't have electronics, that did turn out to be a little bit of an issue if I had a class that had a lot of people that didn't have them. But most people who wanted to actually use that method, then it wasn't an issue, because we would go around, we would take pictures real quick, because I also have the app, and then I could send it right to their Google Classroom or to whatever format that they had previously sent me. So it worked out. Preference, overwhelmingly, my students preferred, 92% preferred to use the boogie boards over previous methods that we had used. 3% still like the old school methods. They liked the pencil and paper. They liked to be able to just keep their notes in their notebook. They didn't want to have to scan it in or print, that type of stuff. And then 5% of students were like, it didn't really matter to them. But for the most part, overwhelmingly, they loved the boogie boards. This is some of them using them, the ones that loved the app. It was great for when we would have different races and things, when we were trying to do different games to get them engaged. Engagement went through the roof when it came to these, because it allowed the students to actually feel like they were still using technology, and then they would let them still be able to get what they need to down and still have some doodle space without writing on my desks. So that was also fantastic. Targets are the way that I kind of went for the full effect of seeing if it really did improve engagement or not. Our goal was, if we could improve engagement, then students would have to be required to retake less targets. And I chose to follow them during the second 9 weeks. Like I said, in the first 9 weeks, we were just getting these items. And so the second 9 weeks worked out better for us. And thankfully, because the third 9 weeks, we started running into bad weather and sickness. And well, here we are for the fourth 9 weeks. So with that, then the second 9 weeks is when I followed them. The blue chart here shows the targets that were required to be retaken during the second 9 weeks. And with our target system, then they can get a 0, 1, 2, or a 3. Anything below a 2 is required to be retaken. Ones that get like 2s, 2.5s, 3s, obviously those do not have to be retaken, but they have the choice. I didn't include those in this data because a lot of times those will be some of my honor students, stuff like that, pre-AP, who are going to retake them regardless a bunch of times. So just to base the data, then I set it on just the mandatory required retakes. In 2017, 44% of students had to do retakes. In 2018, 48%, I'm sorry, not of students, of targets had to be retaken. 48% of targets had to be retaken. And this year, using the boogie boards and after doing the in-class practice and activities using boogie boards instead of just regular pencil paper methods, I feel as though it's pretty safe to say that engagement went up because only 26% of targets had to be retaken during the same period of time as the previous couple of years. And so that speaks volumes to me. To me, that definitely outweighs the few little issues that we may have had with trying to figure out the issues with the boogie boards. Like I said, the few little issues involved like the precision erasing. That ran into a little bit of an issue. If you don't have a whole lot of students who have the app, that can be an issue if they're wanting to keep those notes and take them home or print them out. And we'd like to see the pens be a little bit more durable. The pens, if they roll off a desk or something like that, or if the kids push very hard on them, some of the pen points came off and a few of the eraser sections popped off. So those are some durability issues that we would like to see maybe some improvement. So I'll be kind of watching to see if there's an update on those. I'm also curious to see how the battery life does. It's supposed to last up to 5 years. But I'm curious to see after storage this year how they do with those. So these are all things that I'm curious to keep seeing, but I'm very, very excited with our overall results, and I cannot thank everyone enough for the ability to give us the money for the grant to be able to use these. My students loved them, what time they got to use them, and I cannot wait to get to use them with students again as soon as possible. Hopefully this year, but if not, then for sure next year and in the coming times. But they had a great time with them. Engagement went up, and we saw some good results. So thank you very much.